Hey guys, it's Steve from Featherlight, and in this video we're going to take a quick look at just the organ section of the brand new YC series keyboards from Yamaha. Now I've already done a complete and in-depth review on this keyboard, and I'll leave that info in the links below. But for now we're going to dive in and find out why this keyboard and this whole series of keyboards is creating such a buzz right now. Let's check it out. Moving on to the organ section, the first thing that you see directly under the master volume slider is the rotary speaker and the speed indicator as well. So this allows you to stop the rotor in its position, current position, and not move throughout the stereo field, which is really nice for kind of a vintage recreation of a Leslie cab. You got your slow and fast Leslie controls here for the horn and the rotor independently. All of those can be changed dramatically. And then you've got the lower and upper drawbar control sections for the organ itself. You got the volume of the overall patch. And then you got a host of organ-specific controls that are really just a joy to work with. But before we even talk about those, the very first thing you notice is the drawbar selection. These are amazingly good quality. Surprising, in fact. There's a good bit of resistance on the drawbar sections themselves, and there's a click indent indicator for each one of the drawbar positions, much like on a real Hammond. So that feels really good. That's great feedback while you're playing because there's a definite spot where each one of the positions fall, as opposed to some of the Roland keyboards, for example, that have sliders. But the problem with the sliders is they're incredibly easy to move. These are not at all. They're really good quality. They've got a great bit of resistance to them, are well damped, and they're really just a joy to work with, in addition to having the lighted indicator for the LEDs here for each one of the positions. And those positions can be different colors. So for example, if you change patches, you can have one set of organs be one color LED, and there's a whole host of colors to choose from. Or you can have all your rock organs red and all your jazz organs be blue or green or whatever. You get the idea, but there's a ton of different color options to choose from. And this ended up being a really handy feature, much more handy than I thought that would be. So kudos to Yamaha for really getting a great design. These really feel good to play. And in addition, you'll notice that when you select organ drawbar positions, when you change a patch, for example, you are shown in the LED itself, much like on the Nords, where the original drawbar positions were to create that patch. And this is really handy for visual indication of where the positions of the drawbar should be. And then when you go to alter the drawbar, you can change this state, meaning if you move the drawbar, whether or not it takes over where the current position is and simply adds to it, or it resets the slider and then you start from scratch. So you have complete control over that. Directly under the organ type controller button, you've got this section here, which allows you to change the lower and upper drawbars and the split positions of it, including the volume of the entire patch itself. The on and off button for the entire section just completely disables it, turns it off. And then you've also got a couple of things here that are really handy. You've got octave sections for the organ itself that at a glance you can instantly raise the octave. And it just toggles up and down. And you also have a pre-drive section, which adds a bit of gain before it enters the overdrive section and the speaker amp section, which allows a ton of control over the kind of sounds you're trying to get. So for example, if we choose something that's got a little bit of a rock sound to it, it really warms up the sound really, really nice and gives you a lot more tonal options than you would normally with just the regular overdrive section at the end of the signal chain. Over here, we've got our vibrato and chorus sections, and a bunch of different ones can be chosen. We've got vibrato and chorus that show up on these two LEDs here, and we've got one of three choices, and we can turn the sections on and off completely. Under the percussion section, you can turn the entire section off. And then, of course, we've got a couple different kinds to choose from. We've got the second or the third harmonic. And then we can also determine the decay of it as well. It can be slower so that you hear a little bit of the percussion decay die off a little slower. and that dies off much faster. And then we've got normal and soft to choose from as well. We've got an organ modeling knob selector right here, and this gives us one of 6 choices to choose from. So by scrolling through each one of these selections, we can scroll through the 6 different kinds of modeling engines that are used to create the organ sounds. So for example, H1 is a great faithful reproduction of a standard vintage organ, and it's great for solos and music in which the organ's the main instrument. It's got a nice full range sound to it. So H2 is a much deeper sound. It emphasizes a lot of the low and mid-range tones, so it's great when you want to have an edge or cut through a band, for example. This is great for overdriving. The pre-drive and the overdrive sections both work great for this style of organ. And then H3, this is the last of the VCM style organ models to choose from. This has got a real percussive sound, and it works great for drive effects. So if you're playing fast stuff. And then the F choices are some of the transistor style ones, for example, like British transistor and Italian transistor, or the simple sine wave ones. So that's a quick look at just the organ section on the brand new YC series keyboards from Yamaha. Hey, if you learned something, or if this was helpful in any way, please hit the subscription and notification bells. Stay safe out there, be creative. We'll catch you guys in the next video.